surrounded by gold, while everyone else wasn't. A movie about the Gilded Age, by McDonagh. Andrew Carnegie was an industrialist that made steel. He used the Bessemer process, that made steel much cheaper and easier to mass produce. Andrew was a kind man, who believed in philanthropy. Philanthropy is the belief that money should be given to the less fortunate. He gave 90% of all his money away. One of his most famous sayings was, "A man who dies rich, dies disgraced." Even though he was so kind, he mistreated his workers by not paying them a lot to do dangerous work. The next tycoon is John D. Rockefeller. John owned 90% of all of the world's oil. He was the head of Standard Oil, which split up into many different companies. The main company now is Mobil. John was also a philanthropist, but not nearly as much as Carnegie. Rockefeller basically ruled over every company. Because without oil there is no energy. Even though some say railroads ruled back then, oil powers the engines of trains. Henry Ford founded the automobile company Ford. Not many people owned a car during the Gilded Age. He made the cars using the assembly line, which made them cheaper. This is called mass production. While he did not invent cars nor the assembly line, he did combine the two ideas. This created cars very quickly. Ford had so many cars that he could price them cheaply, because of the law of supply and demand. This law states that the higher the demand, and the lower of the supply, the higher it should cost, and vice versa. Every car he made looked exactly the same and was the same color. This made them even cheaper because he just needed to get more parts and throw them into the same slot every time. Cornelius Vanderbilt was one of the most cold-hearted tycoons out there. He never gave any money away and treated his workers worse than all of the others. He had 16 mansions and many children. When he died he gave all of his money to the son who was most like him. Vanderbilt made the railroads of New York. Without him Belmore would just be Smithsville and have no easy transportation until cars were made easily accessible to the average American. He also dominated his competition and ran them out of business. When all of his competitors went out of business he made his prices insanely high. This is price fixing and is illegal now. When Cornelius didn't like a person, he made sure all trains didn't go to their stop. This was not only unfair for that person, but unfair for everyone at that stop. Railroads were the internet of the 19th century and he was the king. So, were the rich of the Gilded Age, robber barons, or captains of industry.